There's a moment that happens on a Friday evening. Your phone buzzes, someone's inviting you out, and somewhere in your chest, before logic even kicks in, something quietly says, no. Not out of fear, not out of sadness, just no. If you've felt that, and if you've spent years wondering what that feeling actually means, this is for you. Society has a very specific image of a well-lived life. Go out, be seen, make memories, post them. And if you're the person who keeps choosing the couch over the crowd, you've probably been called boring, antisocial, a bit sad maybe. You've probably even called yourself those things. But here's what's interesting. The psychology of people who genuinely prefer staying home doesn't read like a disorder. It reads like a different architecture, a different way of being built. Because here's what most people don't understand. Social interaction isn't neutral. For some people, it's fuel. For others, it's a withdrawal from an account that doesn't refill quickly. In 1960, psychologist Hans Eysenck proposed that introverts and extroverts don't just have different personalities. They have different baseline levels of cortical arousal, meaning the introvert's brain is already running warmer internally. It doesn't need the external environment to fire it up. Add noise, strangers, social expectations on top of that, and the system doesn't energize. It overloads. This is what psychologists call optimal arousal theory. Every nervous system has a sweet spot, a level of stimulation that feels just right. Go below it, and you feel bored, restless, flat. Go above it, and you feel frazzled, depleted, desperate to escape. For people who love staying home, that sweet spot is lower, and home is the only environment they can trust to stay inside it. Before we go deeper, let's get something clear. Preferring home doesn't mean you're afraid of the world. It doesn't mean something went wrong in your childhood. It doesn't mean you're missing out on life. What it means is this: you experience depth differently. Where other people feel most alive in a room full of energy, you feel most alive in a room full of quiet. Where they collect memories at events, you collect them in conversations that went somewhere real. Where they find meaning in the crowd, you find it in the margins. That's not a deficit, that's a different frequency. And psychology, real psychology, not pop psychology, has something to say about that. There are at least 3 things happening in the brain of someone who truly loves solitude. And none of them are pathological. The first is dopamine sensitivity. Dopamine is the brain's reward chemical. But what most people don't know is that people respond to dopamine differently. Some brains need large doses of external stimulation to trigger a dopamine response. They chase novelty, crowds, excitement. Other brains are more sensitive to dopamine. Smaller inputs, a good book, a quiet morning, a familiar comfort, trigger the same reward. Neuroscientist Jaak Panksepp's research on the brain's seeking system suggests that introverted individuals often derive comparable pleasure from internal exploration, thinking, imagining, creating, that others only get from external events. Their reward system isn't broken. It's just tuned to a quieter station. The second is sensory processing sensitivity. Dr. Elaine Aron's research identified a trait she called high sensitivity, or HSP. Roughly 15 to 20% of the population processes sensory and emotional information more deeply than average. Their nervous systems pick up more. The hum of the fluorescent lights, the tension in someone else's voice, the visual noise of a busy room. For a highly sensitive person, these aren't just background details. They're data the brain is actively processing, all of it, at once. Visual, a person in a busy cafe, slightly overwhelmed, eyes moving, trying to settle. This isn't weakness. Biologically, high sensitivity exists because these individuals were the ones who noticed the threat before everyone else did. They were the scouts, the observers, the ones who read the room. But in a world that moves fast and loud, their nervous system spends a great deal of energy just managing the input. Home, then, isn't avoidance. It's decompression. The third is the default mode network. When you're not doing anything externally, not scrolling, not talking, not working, your brain doesn't go quiet. A a specific set of regions activates. Neuroscientists call it the default mode network. It's the system that handles self-reflection, empathy, imagination, making sense of your life narrative. Research from Harvard psychologist Matthew Killingsworth found that mind-wandering, the thing you do when you're home, doing nothing, is directly linked to creative insight and emotional processing. People who love being home aren't doing nothing. They're doing the work that can only happen in stillness. The brain uses silence the way lungs use air. You can hold your breath for a while, but eventually you need to breathe. So if this is you, if your nervous system is wired for depth over stimulation, here are 5 principles that might help you understand and honor that. Not rules, not a self-help checklist, just frameworks grounded in what we know about the brain. Principle 1. Name your energy type accurately. Not all social fatigue is social anxiety. If you feel drained after gatherings but not afraid of them, that distinction matters. Anxiety is a threat signal. Introversion is a calibration signal. One says, you're in danger. The other says, you're full. Learning to tell them apart helps you stop pathologizing what is simply your nature. Principle 2. Design for decompression, not avoidance. There's a difference between a home that restores you and a home that hides you. A restorative home has rituals, small anchors that signal safety to the nervous system. A hiding home has friction, the guilt of not going out, the low hum of anxiety dressed as preference. Ask yourself, am I resting or am I retreating? The honest answer will tell you a great deal. Principle 3. Protect solitude the way you protect sleep. Sleep is non-negotiable. You wouldn't apologize for needing it. Solitude for the right nervous system functions the same way. It's not selfishness. Research on psychological restoration, particularly attention restoration theory by Rachel and Stephen Kaplan, shows that mentally fatigued individuals recover significantly faster in calm, low-demand environments. Your need for quiet time isn't a character flaw, it's maintenance. Principle 4. Invest in a few deep connections, not many shallow ones. People who thrive in solitude tend not to be lonely. They're selective. They don't spread their social energy thin across dozens of surface-level interactions. They concentrate it. One real conversation once a week often does more for their well-being than 5 casual outings. Quality of connection has a stronger correlation with life satisfaction than quantity. This is one of the most consistent findings across decades of social psychology research. Principle 5. Watch for the shadow side. This one is important. Loving solitude is healthy, but solitude can become a wall instead of a window. If staying home has stopped feeling like peace, if it feels more like heaviness, numbness, or the quiet relief of never having to perform again, that's worth paying attention to. Depression often looks like introversion, isolation dressed up as preference. The difference is this: true solitude makes you feel more like yourself. Depression makes you feel less like anyone at all. If home has stopped restoring you, it may be time to look for support. Here's the mental model that ties all of this together. Think of every human nervous system as a radio receiver. Some are tuned to pick up strong external signals, the frequency of crowds, of energy, of social electricity. They need that signal to feel alive. Others are tuned more sensitively. They pick up the quiet frequencies that most people miss. The texture of an afternoon, the weight of a thought, the resonance of something true said in a still room. Neither tuning is superior. Both are necessary. The world needs its extroverts. It also needs the people who sit quietly and notice what everyone else is moving too fast to see. What you've been calling your flaw, your need for stillness, your preference for home, your love of your own company, might just be the clearest signal of who you actually are. You are not someone who is missing out. You are someone who is paying attention to yourself, to the texture of ordinary life, to the slow, quiet work of understanding who you are. That's not boring, that's rare. The world will keep moving fast, keep throwing its invitations at you. Keep calling your stillness strange, and you can let it. Because you know something that takes most people a long time to learn, that the most interesting life isn't always the loudest one. Sometimes it's the one being lived quietly, on a couch, in the light you chose, with the silence you earned.